I've actually seen a lot of Guildford College students over here, and I reached out to Mr. Diaz, and he has been really gracious. We were able to set up a table outside, help familiarize you guys with T-Mobile products, T-Mobile service. But more than that, I'm actually going to be a direct link in contact with you guys for telecommunications when you're studying abroad. And I'll tell you how that applies to T-Mobile and other carriers as well. So right now, I'm just basically going to applaud you guys, because if I could, I would totally get in your duffel bags and travel with you. I always said that every opportunity you get to combine school and pleasure and travel and world knowledge is a great situation. So I envy you guys a lot. What we did is I passed around a pamphlet, and basically this pamphlet has price comparisons of all the major carriers as well. But I'm going to tell you how T-Mobile basically integrates international capacity and global support to you guys, and which is really important. First and foremost, when you're traveling abroad, if you're with Verizon, AT&T, or Sprint, you're going to have to contact your carrier, and you're going to have to tell them that you will be traveling abroad and you need to add on international services. The other option is for you to go over to the country that you're visiting and studying at, pick up a prepaid phone there, which you'll have to buy the phone and as well as buy the service. The problem with it, with basically taking your Verizon phone over there and then thinking that you can buy a SIM card and pop it in your Verizon phone, or AT&T or Sprint, is that more than likely your phone is locked. And what I mean by that is every carrier locks down their phone, which essentially says that when you get service with us, you're pretty much not paying for your phone outright, and until you do, that phone is technically in a limbo stage where it's owned by you and as well as the carrier that is providing that phone. So please don't get a misunderstanding that you can go over there, use your same phone, pop out the SIM, and then get a native SIM card that's in that area and pop it in. Because at that point, you're gonna find a lot of difficulty actually turning your phone into a world global phone. The way that T-Mobile actually does it is T-Mobile started as a European company. So when they came over to America, they actually kept the European bandwidths. So whenever if you were to get a T-Mobile phone and T-Mobile service, you are not, one, locked into a contract, so there is no contract, so you can be a temporary or a long-term customer. Whenever you go over abroad, whatever your service plan is in the United States, it's the same translated abroad. So there's no reason that you have to call T-Mobile and say, hey guys, I'm traveling to England and I need to go ahead and play for a international rate. Essentially, your phone just works. And the way it works is whatever your data plan is in the United States, it's the same in Europe. Whatever your texting plan is, it's the same abroad as well. We have over 120 countries covered, which is most of the metropolitan, most of the industrialized countries, to where you don't actually have to worry. Where you're going to find a little bit of a hiccup is when you're calling, making phone calls. And that's probably one of the most important things, because you need to call your parents, tell them, hey, I'm doing well. Hey, I'm not getting really drunk. Hey, I met some cool people, and this is what I'd like to share with you. Therefore, there's going to be a charge, no matter which company you go with, there's going to be a charge to call. Make calls locally in that country that you're at, and as well as calling back home to let them know you're okay. Where we get around that is we offer free Wi-Fi calling. And if you've ever traveled abroad, most of the industrialized countries, especially Asia, is Wi-Fi heavy. And the way you get around that is when you're making a Wi-Fi call when you're abroad and you're calling back home or calling your friend that you just met the night before, it's actually free. That's a huge, huge bonus, because a lot of times when people come, they take a little trip to France or wherever and they come back, they're hit with a $600 phone bill. And a lot of that's wrapped into data and calling and texting. Your data and texting, regardless of where you are, is free. Your calling is rated per minute, but the way we get around that is the Wi-Fi calling. What I want to basically do is establish a relationship with you guys, and that relationship is to be your source of knowledge for all telecommunications. And I'm not one of those guys who's going to, be grounded on T-Mobile. If you guys have Verizon, AT&T, or Sprint, please stop by, and I will explain what you guys need to do. And it's not a matter of you guys having to convert over to T-Mobile. I will explain all the questions that you may have. And the biggest perk that you need to establish is whenever you're traveling abroad, your cellular communications is really integral, because that is your lifeline. You will be separated and with your students, with your co-students, with your professors at any given moment. And so when you're abroad, you need to have that lifeline. That's why Mr. Diaz thought it was really important for me to come by and greet you guys, familiarize yourselves with me, for me familiarize yourselves with you guys, and as well as be a source of knowledge for whatever you guys may have, whatever you guys may need. So, therefore, you have a couple of options. One, explore the options with the phone carrier that you're with. Tell them specifically which country you're going to go to, specifically how much the charges are going to be, what are their international plans, and what are their international rates. And then, if you have any more questions with that, please, by all means, stop by. I will gladly call together to your phone provider and get all the questions answered. No question is too difficult. No question is too small. No question is too embarrassing. Please, by all means, come to me. The biggest thing that I think you guys will need is your texting and your data. Phone calling, those are basically simple situations that whenever you're calling back to the United States with your parents, you're probably going to have a 15, 30-second call. A lot can be discussed. You're probably going to say, hey, I'm safe, having a good time, I'm learning a lot, leave me alone. But outside of that, you're texting and your data. And the way that we use data here with T-Mobile is, again, whatever your data plan is in the United States, it translates simply over to whatever country you're with. So if you're on the 3 gig plan, you've got 3 gigs there. T-Mobile goes a step beyond that. And if for some reason you're not in a Wi-Fi spot heavy zone, whatever your data plan is, you have half of that to hotspot for free. And can I get a show of hands who knows what hotspotting is? Okay. For those that don't know what hotspotting is basically I can set my phone in the middle of this table, and if I have a laptop here, and maybe a tablet here, I can connect up to 5 devices to the data that's on my phone. And again, whatever your data plan is, you have half of that to hotspot, and that's free. The way that becomes useful is whenever you're out and about and you need to do some studying, homework, or whatever, you need to send this important email or send this important project through your laptop, through your computer, through your tablet, over back to the professor, then you need to connect your laptop and tablet if you don't have a Wi-Fi zone. So therefore, we actually give you a step beyond that, and the great benefit is having the ability to hotspot. With texting is really important as well. You will have to put the country code in, and you will be probably texting a lot. Normally, even if, regardless of you're traveling abroad, the age group of 25 and under are text heavy. I got a little sister who's 16 years old. I call her, and basically she doesn't answer my call. I send her a text right after that. She sends me a text reply saying, what's going on? And I'm like, why couldn't you answer the phone? So the situation is, I understand, everybody loves texting more than they love talking. Therefore, whatever your texting is free with T-Mobile. It's really important that you make sure you call your carrier provider and ask them how much is it to text abroad. Because you may not see it now, and it may seem insignificant. They may say it's 20 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, or whatever. But as many texts as we send and receive, that bill can go dramatically high quickly. Does anyone here have any questions right off the bat on anything cellular provided when going abroad? Yes?
I think that data roaming charges can be like a big problem in other countries. Is that
Correct. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So the way that T-Mobile cellular communications run is that whenever you're in the United States, you're basically using the data that is with the towers, with the network of the provider that you have. When going abroad, there's no AT&T, there's no Verizon, there's no Sprint. So essentially, you're connecting to the towers of the other telecom companies there. And of course, they're gonna pay you what they call a rental rate for bouncing off of their towers. So, therefore, whatever your data is, if you're on like a 5 gig plan with Verizon, and if you're traveling abroad to, say, Japan, you are gonna be roaming when you're connecting to their towers. Essentially, if you wanna send a picture on Snapchat back to a friend of this glorious sushi meal, of a live octopus, a live shark that you just finished eating, you're basically gonna be roaming and pinging off of their towers. Therefore, it's not, your 5 gigs is no longer free. You're actually paying for every usage that you do when abroad. So, to answer that question, if you are with Verizon, Sprint, or AT&T, you will be borrowing data off of their towers, so there will be a charge. And you need to discuss that with your family, with your cellular provider, or with me, and I will gladly answer those questions, or reach out to whoever I need to reach out to find those answers. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, so with T-Mobile, is that not?
No, that is not true. So what happens is that T-Mobile, since it started as a European country, has European connections. We actually have global connections, again, to over 120 countries, that whatever your data plan is, it translates that over to whatever country you're visiting. And again, not all countries are covered. The countries that are covered are most of the industrialized, more metropolitan countries, like Paris. The things that you can recognize quickly are more than likely the countries that are covered for free. So if you're with T-Mobile or a T-Mobile customer or a temporary T-Mobile customer, you can use your data plan wherever you're at, again, within the 120 countries, and roaming for free. Did that answer that question? All right. Any other questions? Your second option is getting a local cellular temporary phone, a prepaid phone. And usually they have those at airports, wherever you're landing, at gas stations or grocery stores or wherever you're at. So you can pick up the phone, pick up the SIM card, the international SIM card. The way that it plays to your detriment at this situation is that if you're making long distance phone calls back to the United States or texting your friends back to the United States. Again, when you get a local phone and a local carrier, it's free when you're in that area, but it's not free when you're communicating outside of that area. So you got to be careful about that. And with a lot of international companies, what they do is they pay to play. They don't give you this unlimited situation. They give you, you say, I want $35, and that $35 keeps you taken away from the phone calls, the texting, and the data that you're using. So be really cognizant of that. Because whereas you might think that getting a local phone or a local card and texting back to the US, you may text 50 times and then realize your phone's dead and may have to re-up. Any other questions?
So, I am getting a local phone where I'm headed.
Sure.
So for my phone, in order to keep the phone number and stuff, we just hang up. Is that a good idea? Is there a way you can like freeze it?
Okay, so a couple of questions to answer that.
Yeah.
One, you wanted to keep your local number whenever you get that local phone?
No, I want to keep my local number back here in the States and just leave my phone here.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to need it.
Absolutely. So you're asking me?
Is there like a way to freeze a number so it doesn't like?
Yes,
I don't have to be
absolutely.
paying for it while I'm.
Absolutely. So I can't speak for the other carriers, but I know that T-Mobile, we can suspend the line, put it in kind of like a stasis. There is a charge for that. It doesn't charge your normal rate, but there is a little lower subsidized cost of that. And I'm sure that's very similar to everybody else as well.
Okay.
With Verizon, with AT&T, and with Sprint. Again, if you have those questions, I have no problems calling those companies because I understand the lingo. I understand the different wording that they'll probably use, and then being able to translate that back to you. No problems doing that whatsoever. I actually want you guys to do that because I want to form this relationship. I want you guys to feel like you can trust us and feel very comfortable with us, regardless of who you're with. When traveling abroad and when picking up that phone number, just remember, again, calling back or texting back
I'm
would be a
not
little
planning
bit.
on calling back to the States and stuff.
Okay,
I'll use like Facebook messages.
understood.
Joe, are you guys gonna be able to bring it up for that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know that some of your faculty leaders are here, and we're gonna need to break out into those groups. If you're done with your evaluation, please give it to Becca. She's got